Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is Friday, May 10th, and we're doing AI stories and also a bunch of nonsense to cheer you up at the end of the week.
Some of the nonsense is sad.
Yeah.
But it's nonsensically sad. Let's start with AI, and what a surprise. Someone is suing OpenAI.
Major U.S. newspapers sue OpenAI and Microsoft for copyright infringement. They're basically copy-pasting what the New York Times did.
Yep. But the most surprising, well, not surprising, but terrifying thing here is this is Alden Global Capital, which owns 60 major newspapers.
That seems like that's potentially not great.
Yeah, and that's some big names too. New York Daily News, Chicago Tribune, Orlando Sentinel, South Florida Sun, San Jose Mercury News, Denver Post. It's all really just the same thing.
That seems like not a great thing. That seems like when all of our healthcare is run through one or two companies that do it badly.
Yeah. Except, well, I guess healthcare and the news are like kind of on par.
Remind me of again, how capitalism is supposed to work. Isn't there supposed to be competing for services so you can be like, oh, this one's really good. I should choose that one.
Well, in some small cases, capitalism still does work in this country because when you break out a new technology that is disruptive, it disrupts.
Shares of two big online education stocks tank more than 10% as students use ChatGPT.
I don't know if that's good for the students.
Yeah,
It's ultimately just a net loss for everybody.
I was working on there's this archive and there was a newspaper comic in it, and I didn't get the comic at all. It wasn't the least bit funny. And I asked ChatGPT, I was like, here's this, that was in a newspaper article from a long time ago. Why is this funny? And it's like, oh, this is making fun of this thing that happened that was in the national news a month prior. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know that's critical for our students.
Well, it's learning history and something that I didn't remember from. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
Well, is it ethical? I think the answer is probably no. They've tried to put the guardrails on it to make it that way, but people keep finding ways around it. But more and more people think that it should be.
Cisco Systems joins Microsoft and IBM in the Vatican pledge to ensure ethical use and development of AI.
I don't know if I believe Microsoft based on their past behavior with AI.
My mind is already spooling up these really elaborate stories about how the Vatican knows the truth, and it's like, okay, what is the truth? And it's like, we were all already in a simulation. I was like, hey, that's the easy one, but what if you just start going off the deep end with what the Vatican really knows?
Well, they don't know how to make an AI. That's clear.
Catholic organization has defrocked an AI priest, Father Justin, after it's okaying baptizing a baby in Gatorade.
For real, Justin.
That's just a nonsense headline. That was just hey, let's see what happens when we give the AI this, and the AI hallucinated the whole time.
So people obviously started pressing it with really complicated theological questions, and it kind of just went with whatever, as AI does.
You hear rustling in the bushes. It's like, wait, what happened?
Can God make a rock so big he can't pick it up? It's like, so have you ever played this computer game called, what was it, Heaven and Hell? Is that right? That was their power source.
And that is the end of the AI section. That's right.
Well, that's short. That's two stories.
Not a lot this week, but we do have some actual robots. And it seems like this week our actual robots are really just trying to destroy or trying to stop the collapse of our ecosystem, in part caused by massive AI acceleration using up everything.
Meet Stickbug, the new 6-arm pollinating bot living in greenhouses. Unfortunately, it produces a lot more greenhouse gases than bees, but hey, we'll take it.
Oh, yeah, I'm imagining, there's actually some place where they get all the materials for this robot, and it used to be flower fields where actual pollinators lived, and it's just been decimated.
The number of pollinations per hour on this guy, I don't remember what it was, but it was staggering.
It's taking the bees' jobs.
Well, the bees' jobs are in even more danger from the same website.
Miniature robotic bees navigate swarm flight autonomously. Yay, miniaturization. What can you do with a 6 nanometer, a robotic bee packing a 6 nanometer brain?
Yeah, it's actually an 8.6 inch bee. It's not a little small bee. These are some beefy bees. There's a video here you can watch about them. It's interesting, though, because they're all handmade and they're slightly different. So the AI actually has to learn how to be every time. That's going to be surveilling us soon.
Yeah.
That is
You're
kind of
never
wild
going to notice it.
that we're compensating for a lack of machining precision with software. I read a blog post from some guy that runs a machine. He runs a car restoration thing, and he was like, all the shops that we outsource having precision parts made for, like all the machinists are aging out, and the new ones don't know how to make things precisely, and it's very bad for our restoration business.
Well, in the past episode, you mentioned Helldivers. That was immediately where my mind went when I watched this video.
Did you watch this video with the volume up?
I don't remember.
No, you'd remember because the music is absolutely absurd.
But it does look very much like the bots that we fight in Helldivers, especially the little eyes.
DARPA unleashes a 20-foot autonomous robo-tank with glowing eyes. It turns out if the tank doesn't need people, it can get smaller and more autonomous.
Interesting, no turret on that one yet. I guess they do that for the PR reasons.
The YouTube channel's DARPA TV. This video's on it, and it's just playing like really aggressive. Like it sounds like something you'd hear in like a sniper's CS:GO highlight video, but it's this.
That's pretty much what the military does with most of their stuff.
I mean, you realize that if we were like 20 more years in the future, that whatever the global equivalent of a Tesla is like, look, we just put 2,000 pounds of C4 in this Tesla and told it to drive here and wait, and it did. Like, ta-da! The aristocrats.
But this guy doesn't need roads. Tesla needs roads.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this thing was cruising over those hills.
Cybertruck don't need no roads.
I don't think the Cybertruck could beat the DARPA obstacle course.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it try. But another amazing autonomous vehicle is floating around in space quite a bit distant from the Earth, but still talking.
NASA's Psyche hits 25 megabit, up from 140 million miles away, enough for Ultra HD Netflix. That's actually really impressive because from what I understand, the internet link on the space station kind of sucks.
So when we get out to Mars or Titan, we don't have to have the delay. All the science fiction was wrong.
No, you still have the delay. It's just...
It's because you're pleb tier. You're not subscribed.
You still have the delay. It's just you got the bandwidth.
But they were expecting the radio delay. This is light.
Yeah. Well, it's 8 minutes for us. So Mars is probably like 13 minutes.
And this is miraculous.
No, it's more than that.
And what a great thing. No one expected it.
Japan's moon lander makes it through another lunar night.
Wakes up crying. It's had nightmares all night.
Probably is rough.
This is the one that's like on its side and not getting enough sun.
Yeah, it's on its top, actually. But it's still kicking. Can't really do much.
It's just like some of the trees I planted. I was supposed to be full sun. What have you done?
Most of those trees, dogwoods can handle shade. You'll be all right.
Well, there's a lot of shade on the moon, especially one half of it. But China has not let that stop them. They've mapped it.
China's moon atlas is the most detailed ever made. It is genuinely very impressive.
It's all going to be billboards soon.
I can't wait to be the first person to visit the Buc-ee's.
And here's a crazy one because I have trouble pairing up Bluetooth devices in the next room. But these people have figured out something incredible.
Hubble Network makes Bluetooth connection with a satellite for the first time. So yeah, we could just float a satellite up there and make a wireless connection going into pairing mode. It's like, oh no, I have to enter a code. Where do I enter the code? Oh no.
You need to go up there and tap the satellite 3 times quickly to put it back in pairing mode. And this is technically the nonsense section. This worries me. I'm a little bit suspicious, and it gets worse as we go.
The FAA probes union claims that Boeing retaliated against 2 engineers in 2022. It's not the 2 engineers that have died.
Yeah, but let's remember that very recently, more whistleblowers came out, and one of them unalived himself in the parking lot after going to the court proceedings, right?
Yeah.
And then another guy stepped forward, and
Get 4 weeks of unlimited digital access for $1.
Whistleblower. Oh, wow. The Boeing whistleblower, he died in the hospital of a respiratory infection. it may have originated from a cut. So he may have gotten like a cut that then settled in his respiratory system. I don't know.
But the doctors didn't really recognize it, and it killed him really quickly.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Suspicious.
weird.
Yeah.
I mean, the timing is just really convenient for some people.
It's like something. It's like once is bad luck, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action.
And you know, we're going to have all those satellites up in space. All of our communication is going to be, we're going to be Bluetoothing right to the satellite. And what happens if all those disappear?
Russia vetoes U.S.-backed UN resolution to ban nuclear weapons in space. I read this as like, let's put, warheads in satellites for easy, just, drop it right over wherever you, because you're warning that this thing is active. You have way less warning, because it could wait until it floats over you, and then it's like, oh, it suddenly woke up.
Seems dangerous.
Yeah.
This also maybe seems dangerous, but I feel like this is just a clickbait headline. I'm afraid I don't know enough about biology
Same.
I don't either.
to call this for what it is, but this just seems like a really extravagant thing that maybe we'd hear more about if it happened so infrequently.
The Independence headline is 2 life forms merge into one organism for the first time in 1 billion years. So what is it? What is it talking about? Okay, the mitochondria in your cells, that was probably a different life form that we absorbed a long time ago. The thing that gave rise to plants a long time ago, same kind of combination. So this is something that happened in the sea. Algae absorbed a bacteria that helped, and so there is a symbiotic relationship that they have now. Hopefully that is something that can deal with the warmer sea temperatures, because my goodness, there's a lot of fish washing up dead everywhere.
Also, hurricane season this year.
Doesn't affect me. But something that does affect me is the right to protest, which I thought I had in this country, but it turns out it's right to protest asterisks. You're not allowed to protest certain things. But in other places of the world, it's much more draconian.
Saudi Arabia activist sentenced to 11 years in prison for support of women's rights.
It was because of the statements she made and the clothing she wore. Because,
That's really weird.
11 years in prison.
Didn't Saudi Arabia just get appointed head of women's rights and
I can't
UN
remember
or
if
something?
it was them or the United Arab Emirates.
Someone similar though, who have similar.
Seems like a poor record on women's rights.
Yeah.
If you're putting them in prison for a T-shirt. And it's a poor record of hiring police when you let them get away with basically whatever and then hire them somewhere else.
The Michigan cop who went on a racist rant was hired by a local police department, according to this report.
Racist rant is not inflammatory language here. They've got it, redacted in the we can't read it, even the redacted version. But he really went on a racist rant. Super racist.
Mega racist.
They fired him from a sheriff department, and then a local PD hired him and did no background check at all.
They didn't even Google his name real quick.
They said that, they asked him, they were like, anything bad in your past? And then he gave them some other thing that he did, but it wasn't that. And they were like, all right, here you go.
And they just took him at his word.
Here's a badge and a gun.
Incredible.
And apparently the cops need to be able to be super swole. It's a job that requires a lot of patience. I think this might counteract that.
NYPD union sues mayor's administration over the new zero-tolerance policy on officer steroid use. I read this story expecting it to be something about bagels. They really like everything bagels, and it turns out that causes you to test positive in certain drug screenings.
Not steroids.
But that wasn't the case here at all.
No.
But also sometimes some of the stuff the supplements you order on Amazon also will test positive for steroids, which is the only useful thing that I got out of that entire article.
Probably because they're secretly steroids, and that's how they're getting around the illegality of steroids. And the reason I say that you have to be really patient as a cop is because the justice system doesn't do anything, and you interact with the same people over and over and over.
A man has been arrested for his 12th operating a vehicle while intoxicated charge in Outgamey County.
Is that a Q?
No,
I think it's a G.
Outgamey. That's got to be Florida, right? No, it's
Somewhere in Canada. Maybe. Or no, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's north.
I don't know, but I know that, I don't know. How about we just keep it a round number when you hit 10?
See, I'm really against the whole like citizen credit score thing, and then stuff like this happens, and it's like, well, maybe we could use a little citizen credit score. It's like, boop, and it's like, oh.
But these aren't the people the credit score would stop.
Yeah.
No.
They like to churn these people through the system.
But if it did help them stop, then
Well, you might think that that would be the most extreme case of not vetting a police officer this week, but no.
Deputy caught with 100 pounds of fentanyl was working for El Chapo's cartel, report says. There's probably like a cabal somewhere. It's like, oh, you'd be surprised how easy it is to just get a job, like as long as you're a functional human. And then it's like, no, you secretly work for the cartel. And it's like, it's fun.
Because nobody wants those jobs. And this man has decided that he's the victim, because everybody's a victim now these days, right?
Teen who beat teaching aide over Nintendo Switch, yes, the one that we covered a long time ago, sues the school for failing to meet his needs. Well,
Is his needs just a Nintendo Switch?
No, his needs are a Nintendo Switch and to beat a woman into unconsciousness.
Suppose that you had a food allergy so severe that if you had peanuts, you would explode.
But if your needs could result in random violence toward other people, shouldn't you be excluded?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like if somebody's sitting next to you when you have a peanut accidentally, they're in danger. And so if you're that much of a danger, you probably don't belong there.
Is he arguing he should have been in like a special class by himself?
Yeah, one of the things that they're suing for is a special school that has psychological something and all kinds of other stuff.
He's saying that he should never have been criticized in front of other students because he's not on their level.
Yeah. I don't know that it's reasonable to expect teachers to be able to navigate a situation that complex, and maybe they don't belong in that complex of a situation to begin with.
Well, and if it was a teacher's aide, that implies that like they did have someone there trying to help him and perhaps like give him more individual time. Because otherwise it would say teacher, just singular, not their aide.
Or you're saying the teacher's aide might have been because he was there.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll give you an aide if you have like a problematic student or a student who's maybe a little slower than the others.
He was problematic. And you know what else is problematic? Keeping your Pokemon cards once you have them, because everybody wants them.
Everyone wants to see them.
Yakuza lieutenant arrested in Tokyo for stealing Pokemon cards.
I draw the line at stealing Pokemon cards.
I wonder if he's going to lose a finger.
It's amazing.
Of all the things to get caught for.
And you might think, hey, you guys already did this story. No, this is a story from May 1st, and it's a different city. It was Philadelphia last time, if you recall.
New York Mets fan removed from $1 hot dog night after fans throw extra hot dogs at him. Now, you can only buy 4 of the $1 hot dogs. It's a limit 4. But this is a dude who dressed up as a hot dog, apparently, and then, like, in some sort of inning, was like, throw your hot dogs at me for good luck. And they did, and they won, but it was still disruptive.
They threw a lot of hot dogs at him. He had pledged to like eat as many hot dogs as he humanly could.
Is the Northeast okay? Like,
I'm really not understanding this baseball thing. I feel like if Futurama were still around, it could work in a joke about this. It's like, oh, we're in the 17th inning something. It's 17th inning hot dog throwing. And it's like, what? And it's like, oh, it's...
Think about the guy who has to clean that up, though.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's not good that we are censoring everything in the world. And when it gets down to the books, that's when you have to be like, wait a minute, guys. Wait, let's sound the alarm here. Historically, this has never gone well.
Girl Scout banned book project censored by Hanover Board of Supervisors. Quote, it's a sad day. So the Girl Scouts got their list of books censored? What?
Now, this girl her project was, you know how people do like little libraries? She did a little library. Here it is.
That was probably full of banned books.
It was only books that had been banned by the education system. And she won an award for it. The Girl Scouts were like, wow, this is really cool. When it came time to announce her award, they would not say what it was for.
I want the list of books that were in there because it was probably all like Catcher in the Rye, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
It's more of the more recent stuff.
How
It's
long-
like the sexually charged.
Yeah, but look at like 1984. Like if you read 1984 and you've never read it at all, and then you look at the things that are happening around, or like Huxley's A Brave New World. Like if you're just mentally translating some of the dated analogies in there to more modern equivalents, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, they're using that as a playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was not technically that, but certainly those lessons apply here. And they were not followed. And here, this is an interesting question: is how much do you trust your? Is that an esthetician? What do we know about them? Have they been cleared by the authorities?
Kansas Senate retreats from their effort to deregulate hair removal in private areas. Because right now it's regulated.
If you have to have a license to like cut hair and stuff so you can do the sanitation, right? I feel like that would apply doubly for this.
It's a little hit and miss as to what extent of the license applies. Sometimes it's not far removed from just a business license.
You definitely want all of the pubic hair removal tools to go into the blue water afterwards.
Yeah.
Minimally. They probably use UV these days. I'm dating myself. I cannot see these tabs.
Missed one.
I missed several.
Oh my.
Yeah, that one's the fun one.
There we go. And this is more of our world moving into automation, which, guess what? Works against you. It's not going to do you any favors.
A doctor at Cigna said her bosses pressured her to review patients' cases too quickly. Cigna threatened to fire her. And then did, actually. But this is a lady who meticulously knew what she knew what was coming, and she meticulously kept receipts of everything and documentation. And they deliberately boxed her into situations where other people who were willing to do what Cigna was asking, which is probably amoral and definitely against your best interests in terms of healthcare, were like, sure, whatever. There's one doctor that reviewed 60,000 files in a month, and that was not their full-time job because they were just like, yep, sounds good, whatever you want to do, yep, sounds good, whatever. Because it was just the software auto-filling out stuff, and they weren't reading it or doing anything.
It's probably a great thing, too, where it's like you have people going to med school, they're hugely in debt, and they'll take whatever job they can get to make extra cash.
So what happens here is a nurse fills out the form, right? No doctor. The nurse says, we should probably deny coverage for this reason. That goes into the insurance system. This woman, the doctor, reviews it because a doctor must review it. And she described what was known in the industry and encouraged by Cigna was click and close, which means just trust what the nurse wrote. If it's a denial, click the button and move on to the next one.
And nurses aren't overworked, so
And
obviously they would catch it, right?
She kept meticulous details of all of the exceptions because she actually put the time into it, and she's going to have an amazing, amazing multi-million-dollar wrongful termination suit on her hands. Unfortunately, it's not going to improve healthcare for the rest of us, but maybe we can all enjoy the schadenfreude of the healthcare industry having to pay them a tiny, tiny fraction of the profits that they made, which will probably be rolled into our premiums next year.
We can chuckle from our ventilators. But this poor guy probably is not chuckling. In fact, he is probably terrified and perhaps dead because I don't think he was ready for the great outdoors, but he was sent there.
Emotional support alligator taken and released in swamp.
Such a sad photo.
So for like 10 years, this guy's had a cuddly pet alligator, and then he went on vacation somewhere. Somebody was supposed to watch his pet alligator. Something happened, and his pet alligator was used as part of a prank. The people that were being pranked freaked out, and then animal control came, and they said, it's cool, we'll release it. They released the pet alligator into the wild without knowing, and so it's really distressed this guy.
It's interesting that they released it into the wild if it's been in captivity for 10 years.
They didn't know that.
Yeah.
The trolls got the alligator and used it in somebody else's yard as just like it's a prank, bro. The people no one knew
that it was
Wally except
Yeah.
for the trolls. And so when the game people got there, they were like, yeah, we'll
it's just a wild alligator, yeah.
So I don't know, maybe Wally's having the time of his life. Maybe Wally's found a girlfriend and he's like, oh my God, I never knew it could be like this. And also maybe, like kids can lie. That's true. But sometimes you got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
North Carolina child's monster in the closet was, in fact, 50,000 bees in the wall. It was a monster colony, and they figured it out. eventually.
100 pounds of honeycomb.
Wow.
Yeah. How do you not notice that for that long?
Well, the kid noticed.
Yeah.
No one would believe him.
I used to make my parents do monster check before I went to bed. They would have noticed.
Did they ever find one?
No, they would go in and look in the closet. They would just to like appease me as a child, though.
What would have happened to your mental health if one night they were like, "You're not sleeping here tonight"?
Just tank. I would be weirder than I already am.
I'm fighting carpenter bees, and I'm trying to gently encourage them not to eat the house.
Yeah.
So I've set up some other things that they can eat, and it's like, stay away from the house. So I think I'm going to have to actually get carpenter bee traps because there's a lot of them.
I don't think
Yeah.
they'll take your suggestions.
No.
Houses are delicious.
They are, as it turns out.
And here's a sad story.
It's
And
such a weird.
the weirdest thing about it is that she is so out of touch, she didn't realize that people wouldn't like this.
Kristi Noem defends killing puppy after widespread outrage from Republicans and Democrats. This is kind of like
This is the one thing that unites the country.
she wrote a book, and everybody's citing the book, and it's just like we had a we had a dog that couldn't be trained, and then the stories kind of morphed into, well, it was also biting people, but that wasn't what was in the book.
Chickens. It killed chickens.
Yeah.
I think she did mention in the book that it was killing chickens.
Which, keep your dog on a leash?
Well, it was supposed to be like a farm protector dog. So she was saying the dog was to protect the chickens. It ate them instead, so she must kill it. And then she followed that up. If that was not bad enough, she was like, oh, I also killed a bad goat the same way, taking it down to the gravel pit and shotgunning it. That might be the end of her political career. Don't kill dogs, cats. Just don't kill animals in your political career. And don't attack bison.
Yellowstone tourist kicks bison in its leg before it turns and injures him, rangers say.
The bison is quoted as saying, "Really, bro? Really? You think you're gonna kick me?"
That's not a knife. Wait, kick?
And it's always fun when the animals escape, and you got to bring in some rough riders, some old school guys.
Rodeo bullfighter helps wrangle 3 escaped zebras in Washington state as one remains on the loose. Okay.
What a good time for him. Wonder how much he
Look
charged
at him
him.
just hanging out in the street.
Oh, we missed it.
Oh,
Is that the cowboy? He doesn't look like a cowboy.
I think that's just like a shopkeeper. Maybe who saw him.
Oh, there they are.
I'd lose my shit if I saw a zebra in my yard.
Well, what if you saw this? What would this do to a young Krista's psyche?
Flock of ducks become accidental afternoon meal at Woodland Park Zoo Bears.
I think I'd probably think that was kind of cool, but
Oh, really?
yeah.
Or for the Woodland Park Zoo Bears. At the Woodland Park.
So some ducks landed on this little waterway in their enclosure, and they were like, yeah, well, we ate these ducks. I don't know why the ducks didn't fly away.
The ducks aren't scared of anything. And then it's like, wait, bears? Oh.
Oh, they hate geese. I saw a little family of geese on my way into the office. It was the mom in the front, and then all the little goslings, and then the dad behind, and the dad hissed at me. I went across. I was
Keep
like,
your distance.
yeah, I was like, okay.
Where was he in this situation?
I know.
And the failure of this reporting on Sue Today, paywall alternative, whatever, is that we never got a picture of this guy. And I clicked through.
Trying
the
to find,
official document. No pictures.
Service dog removed from Ontario home because it got too fat.
Well, whose fault is that?
The service dog it's like, I was just doing what you told me to do. You told me
You
to
gave
eat.
me snacks, yeah.
83 pounds.
Wow.
No, 83 was where he started.
Oh, 129.
129
Ooh.
after the adoption.
That's as much as I weigh.
He was getting some treats.
Yeah.
He's lost some weight. So I think he's down like 7 or 8 pounds now. He's been removed from the home.
That's maybe more for the dog's safety than.
No, for sure. Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was having injuries based on his massive growth.
Yeah.
Because he still had to be he was working. So he still had to be like out in the world, but he was just massive.
just waddling around. Aw.
You ever think everybody would question it? It's like, oh, this is a service dog. I'm like, no, come on.
Let's look at him. Look at him.
That's a butterball.
Aw. Well, that's it for this week's news or show, Links with Friends. We will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.